Peace and love, peace and love. Welcome to a special Wednesday live that we had to host due to the technical difficulties we had last Wednesday. So, for those that are tuned in, I'm your brother, Adele Muhammad Ali, and this Wednesday live is, of course, for those that don't know, Black Wall Street 2.5 Solutions. Now, we want to go over and address those things necessary for us to know so that way we could better our conditions collectively and as individuals. Now, before I continue on any further, I would like to allow the beautiful panel to please introduce themselves.
Yes, hello. My name is Brother Johan Salik Ali, and welcome to those viewers around the states, around the country, and around the world. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with us, and we plan on giving you some action-packed, real meat truth, justice, freedom, and righteousness on showing us how we're going to build and how we are building Black Wall Street 2.0. Something that we don't have to worry about looking about the police because we are policing ourselves, etc. Our own buildings, our own uh, malls and property. So this is going to be good. So welcome. I yield.
Brother Dolt.
See now. Okay, I just want First of all, let me get rid of these. They look intimidating. Some of y'all will get that. Only a very few of you will get that. I'm gonna put off all day here today, and just here to add my 2 cents to this whole topic. Can we pull it off again? Can it happen? Yeah, I believe so. It's just gonna take some work. So, thank you. Welcome everybody that's watching from near and far, and we're gonna get this going. And I'm accountable for part of what happened last week with the gaff, so I apologize for moving. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here, you're here, we're here. Let's get it on.
All right.
Peace and love, everyone. I'm Michael Emmanuel Bay, Black Wall Street 2.0. Man, I guess that could be an endless topic, but nonetheless, we're here once again because we need to elaborate on this some more because we really need to get people involved. And more importantly, we need to, try to provoke the willpower from everyone because it's definitely going to be a concerted effort. Nothing can be done, individually. We got to come together, like every other nation, understands that principle, coming together, to pretty much form and create a mighty blow. That's how you're going to be sustainable. So if we can just adopt that same mentality, man, we can do wonders. So just assist us in those efforts, and right now just enjoy the dialogue, but most importantly, chime in. Thank you.
Thank you, beautiful brothers. All the viewers out there, peace and love. Welcome. All right, peace. Okay, it's a little choppy. We'll do our best to work on our end as we continue with this live broadcast. For all the viewers out there, go ahead and check in. Let us know where you're coming from. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you would like to even join the live feed, go ahead and comment us, and we will send you the link. Now, in this discussion, to get to the solutions, we need to first address those things that matter. We all come from different backgrounds, different demographics. However, when we look at our conditions as a people collectively, then one thing we know is we have the same problems. So in addressing our problems, we all have the same foundational approach that we must all take collectively and as individuals to reach that collective goal. Now, being within the communities that we stay in, the so-called Black communities, we know that our people, being about 80 million of us right here in the wilderness of North America, we have such an extreme buying power. The so-called black dollar is more powerful than any other people's spending habits. We are the biggest consumers in the United States. We spend almost $1 trillion a year alone, just our people. And that $1 trillion a year that we spend collectively is more than some nations, many nations, gross national product. And yet, when we look at the position that we are in, we do not even have the components to make up a proper nation, because we love to spend our money outward. We don't keep it in, and our dollar does not circulate within our community. And this is what we want to encourage: buying from one another. When we purchase things from one another, then our dollar circulate longer within our communities. Some may find it difficult. Some might find it difficult. In order to share the video, click on the video. And when you click on the video, for all those that would like to share, when you click on the video, it should show up in full screen. And once it's in full screen, you should be able to click on the address, the web address, and copy and paste it on the Facebook comment section. You could copy and paste it anywhere else you would like. But yes, copy and paste it in your comment section on your personal profiles to get the video further views and inside the algorithm. Now, mentioning our buying power. When we look at how much we spend just on beauty products and hygiene alone is $573.6 billion alone. And we only so-called make up 18% of the population. But this is more than any population. We spend as a people $0.6 million a year. And this is more than any other people. So it's not that we don't have money. It's that we are careless with our spending habits. You see, we have plenty money, but how we spend it affects the outcome of the initial purchase. So this is the thing of when we go shopping, we are the most discriminated. However, we're the biggest consumers. But we are discriminated more than anybody else when we purchase from these variety of different stores, whether we like Bloomingdale's, whether we like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Victoria's Secret, H&M, whatever it may be, wherever we like to shop, we are the most discriminated against. And a prime example would be even when we look at the George Floyd killing that just came to a conclusion with the sentencing of that former police officer. With George Floyd, that incident is a reminder of not only how the justice system treat us and feel about us, but it also is a reminder about how these stores and these businesses treat us and view us. Because they view us initially in the light as a monster. Whenever we are described as a suspect, we are deemed a monster immediately. Our children are deemed monsters by this same system. And it's not befitting for us to get them to change their mind about us by offering our children as sacrifices, so they could be the next one killed in a cop on one of us violence. The best thing to do is not to defund the police, but instead to police ourselves. We have the capacity to do so. So with these type of incidents and with acknowledging and knowing how much we spend as a people collectively, then we have to look at our situation on how can we make it better. We can make it better by organizing and mobilizing first amongst each other. We have to build community amongst each other. Building community is not living in a community where you are the lesser population and every officer you see is not of your nationality. This is not your community. You just live in this community. So this is why it's important for us to build community amongst each other, to support one another, to promote one another's business, to keep these things in-house before we spend outwardly, where we'll never see that circulating dollar ever again. And in just speaking about our spending habits, I would like to, allow Brother Salik to, chime in and give us some jewels that you have, which we further, discussed prior to this. And I know I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Please give us some jewels on the solutions for us today in building a better Black Wall Street. How can we do it better?
Yes. Well, thank you for allowing me to share. Again, my name is Brother Johan Salik Ali. Wall Street 2.0. Okay. We got to remember Black Wall Street happened during the Jim Crow era. During the Jim Crow era, we had, you think the racism was bad. Now it was 10 times worse. But yet our brothers and sisters persevered and not only built the city, they built the town. You had banking. We had our own banks. We had our own restaurants. We had our own barbershops. We had our own mailing system. We had our own phone system. We had everything to build a nation, and it was happening right there in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So now we have amazing technology. We have the world at our fingertips. We can communicate easier. Okay, so we make way more money in comparison to what was being made today, back then. So I'm just want to speak, first of all, biblically. I know there's a lot of people that follow the Bible as we do. We follow all the good books. But the Bible teaches us, it says, God bless the child that has his or her own. I put the her in there. So when we are spending our money on garbage, like we heard about the brother that, won the lottery, he won 30,000 and he spent $20,000 on a gold chain. And he's going around the hood bragging about the chain and how he spent 20,000 on his chain. And of course he gets robbed. Okay. Imagine if he would have took that 20,000 and put down on a house or some land that would increase in value, as opposed to now, if he would have took that chain to a pawn shop, he probably would have only got half of what he paid, the 20,000. He probably would have only got 10,000 for it. And even if he took it to the same jeweler 5 minutes later, he probably would have only got 14,000. So he lost $6,000. And this is the mindset that we need to get out of. As a people, we need to understand that we have to protect our own. There's a book by Vernon Howard. It's called Mystic Powers. And it says, you cannot escape a prison if you don't know that you're in one. And I'll repeat that. You cannot escape from a prison if you don't know that you're in one. So there are certain universal laws that we have that God has provided. And these are basic laws. You can't have an up without a down, an in without an out, an off without an on, a rich without a poor, etc., etc., etc. We live in duality, the moon, the sun. So understanding we've been losing for 400 years. It is time for us to start winning. And how we do that is collectively. Now, Brother Dolph, he went in and he talked about some of the problems that we have. We have so much sympathy for other people. The Chinese have experienced 2 years of racism and being discriminated against because of the COVID virus that was attributed to them wrongly. So they are now pushing for laws and to help their people, and they've talked to and lobbied Congress, and now they've got an actual law for them. We've been doing this, we've been hated on for over 400 years. George Floyd, I mean, pick a day anytime last week, and we can actually show you another case of a George Floyd scenario. So the point of it is to cure our scenario. What we must do, generally speaking, Black people, so-called Black people, we're still living in the moment. Okay, we are, thinking the hell with the future. Spend money now. As soon as we get our check, or stimulus check, or our income tax check, what do? Just like Brother Dale was saying, we immediately go and to the mall, or buy some rims for the car, and we buy this big fancy Cadillac and paying hell of an interest on it, and we're parking it in front of our mama's house in the projects. That's not fooling nobody. I mean, you look good for the moment, but the point of it is, we're spending our money. We're not spending our money wisely. And we're giving it to everybody else. We're giving it to Prada, the Gucci, this label and that label, and it's overpriced garbage. You're basically being a billboard, a free billboard to advertise Louis Vuitton stuff. I mean, there's several of our people that are designers. If you're going to wear somebody's designer stuff, and some of the people that make some of the clothing of our people are very, very nice and high quality stuff. Wear their stuff instead of spending money on people that do not care about you. Okay, we have another thing that we're doing is we have so much sympathy for other races. We're tired of this garbage, and I know a lot of you are sick of what's going on. They're treating us like animals. They're shooting us down like animals and blaming us because they had to fire the bullet to kill us. Okay, how much more are we going to take? Collectively, it's important that we come together as a people and start supporting you, supporting your family, and supporting people that support you. And this is what we do here at the Embassy of the Moors. Not just with information, not with just knowledge, not with just facts about the very first treaty that was ever formed by the United States, was formed with the Moors. It's called the Friendship and Peace Treaty. Look it up, Google it. It's facts. So about this land that we're on, which actually was leased to the United States by the Moors. So this is our land. We're aboriginal to these lands. So we have to break out of the old mindset of that this is not going to work, because what that does, it breeds hopelessness. But see, when you, as the Bible says, the truth will set you free. But as Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan said, the only reason why we are not free is because somebody's been lying to us under the name of truth. Because otherwise we'd be free. Because the truth will set you free. And if you think you've been getting, the truth from the church, the synagogue, the mosque, the Buddhist temple, then why aren't you free? Why aren't we free? Because we haven't been given the truth. That's the reason why. That's the only reason we're not free. But as a people coming together as the Moors and building our own nation, and we have everything in place to do it, and we're doing it. we encourage your support. We encourage you to join us. We encourage, because if you look at in the whole, and I'll close with this, if every nation just started from scratch and depended on their own resources, China would die, United States would die, all of Europe would die, Italy, uh, Guam, every place on the planet would die. Why? Because factually, 85% of what the world needs as resources to live comes from the African continent. So we have our resources. We are just scattered, and we're giving our resources and our funds and what we earn to the people that don't care about us. God bless the child that has his own. We must come together, and how we do it, we have the technology. It's just a matter of grouping our technology. We have brilliant minds, bringing our minds together, bringing our resources together, and funding for ourselves. They're not going to save us. Nancy Pelosi, Trump, I don't care which politician you choose, they are not going to save us. Even in the Bible, it says, faith without works is dead. We have to get to work. We can't be waiting for the Messiah to come down. The Messiah is you. The Messiah is me. This is what we need. And with that, I'll yield the floor. Thank you for allowing me to share. Peace and love.
Thank you. All right. Yes, Brother Salik. And now, as you know, Brother Salik was sharing, one of the key things I would like to highlight is, I want to, as we all do, we want to give credit to all the businesses, that have been doing their thing. We want to give credit, where credit is due. We want to give credit to all the entrepreneurs that's out there, that's striving, especially in this time where we have this pandemic, and it's even harder to get a footing. It's even harder to really do for self. However, this is the most important time that we come together collectively to see these things through, because the joys of society can only be experienced when we band together. We have, as Brother Slick mentioned, we have the technologies. We have brothers and sisters that's computer coders and so forth. We have, brothers and sisters that are construction workers, that have many of these labor jobs and trade skills in hand. However, we have to come together to purchase land. We need land to put the technology equipment on. We need land to put this science lab on. We need land to put this nursing home on. We need land in order to grow our own fabrics so we could sell our own shirts directly. So this is the thing of, we need land for raw materials. We have entrepreneurs that sell shirts, that sell beauty products, that sell these things. However, if we get the raw material from the same Koreans, then we just a third party Korean business. So the important aspect that we want to approach and highlight is land acquisition, because that's the foundation for land development. From land acquisition, we can grow our own fabrics, and now we can make and weave our own clothes instead of choosing between the skimpy garments that a designer designed for us, and we have to pick the lesser of the evil. That one don't show as much, then I'll just get this one when we haven't designed any of it. So we really have to look at the raw source, the foundation. And with that being said, Brother Michael, can you please, share with us the solutions of today for us to establish and do better what our ancestors before us did, not only with Black Wall Street, but we know it was others alike. But we don't even know of them today. Where are they? So it's the thing of we have to do better. And how can we do that, Brother Michael? Can you please share with us?
Yes. First and foremost, I think brother Salik had said it best, because it was very fundamental. It was very fundamentally sound when he expressed the fact that you need to look around, look at your local community, and look at all the foreign nations of the world who have establishments in different directions that are already in your community. And what do you notice that is very significant about them? Well, the most important thing is, number one, most of the people that work within their organizations are their own. And then the second biggest factor is the more is their biggest consumer. So we need to start adopting that mentality that the foreigner has while in a foreign nation. And the first thing that they understand is that they're in a foreign nation. And they understand that there's certain agreements that are put in place for their protection, immunities, and obligations that the United States has to fulfill. Hence, like Brother Salik alluded to, this is why they can get acts and certain things within Congress passed for their well-being and security while they're here. They made a very, very, very conscious effort to denationalize the Moors so that we wouldn't have protection. Why? Because everything belongs to the Moors. Everything literally in the world belongs to the Moors. Why? What's the proof that first of all, what's the proof that we're Moors? How do we know we're Moors? Your carbon 12 and your melanin. That's what makes you a Moor. Your carbon and your melanin, your upmake, your body constitution is what makes us Moors. And everything came from that. So we have to get back into that mindset of our ancestors, where we leased out the land. We leased out the land to these foreign nations via a treaty. And that's how they're here. So the solution isn't necessarily kicking them out, nor do we necessarily want them to leave, because that's controversial. But we need to get back to those customs, traditions, festivals, and cultures of the ancient mind of our foremothers and forefathers, because they let them here via a treaty. And that was for the betterment and empowerment combined for our people back then, because we shared different trades, different skills, different products. This is all Asian culture. It's all part of the whole, merchant and mercantile system. So now we're just in a modern day where we got so lost in the source when it comes to those, principles and customs, and we need to get back to those things. And now the first way to get back to that is to seek each other out. Everybody, everyone has some type of skill set. We have, a lot of struggling businesses, today that you can just access at will, particularly your beauticians, your barbershops. You got carpenters, you got plumbers, you can find them. We may not have the best, high profile, quote unquote, type entrepreneur things readily available. But there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there of Moorish descent. So we need to combine our efforts with them and get them to be part of a movement where we can work with each other. And I don't think it's really, really that hard, even though we've been indoctrinated, even though we've been, stripped and our confidence was taken from us. Why? Because, again, we were the first teachers. Again, go look the history books when the Moors ruled Europe. In fact, I was actually speaking to a Moorish Moroccan from the kingdom over in the African continent recently. And he had said to me He said, I wonder if the music, he said, because it seems like, the Moors over in, North America, the only way or the best way that we could assimilate some type of culture is through the music. So he was saying, I wonder if the music will kind of bridge the gap between the Moorish Moroccans over in the kingdom with the Moors over here in North America. So I really say that to say this is because the people over there in the African continent know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest struggle that they fight with is they would like to know what happened to the Moors over here in North America. How did they get so lost? How did they get so far down the totem pole from the rest of the the world? And the only answer for that, the only, I guess, intelligible answer for that would be it's just, we've been indoctrinated to the point. And indoctrination wasn't just through the school system, but I want to say we became very lazy to the point where it developed indoctrination because we allowed others to do for us. So once we did that act, in the long run, it caused us to be vulnerable and susceptible to be dependent on them entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So now we became disconnected with those, those desires and abilities to work. There's so many cliches, there's so many stereotypes about our people. They're lazy, they're this, or they're that, they're this. No, it's none of that. There's a lot of divine law violations, that have been bestowed upon us, at the hands of, European as well as the Asian. Because whereas you have many that know, but won't reveal it to us. And then you have others that just want to, like I said, indoctrinate us with belief system and dogma, as opposed to the truth. And the reality of it is that, as long as we continue to not question, not challenge the authorities, and more importantly, get back to those old ways of our foremothers and forefathers, it's going to be a perpetual path for us. But I know for sure, with all the technology, with all the capabilities, and with the population being much greater than the old Oklahoma, I know that we can do wonders. We just have to know that. We have to know that because everything is pretty much, at our leisure, literally. They didn't have cell phones, beepers, pagers, the internet, yet they still was able to thrive. So when we look at now in modern day, we have all those things and more. So, our people just need to really, really get tuned with the right spirit. Pray to our ancestors. Pray to the unseen hand, the divine. We do that, we're making an effort. The Bible says when you make one step towards the Most High, he'll make two steps towards you. So if we really, really, really believe that, we call ourselves Christians, we call ourselves this, we call ourselves that, but it seems that when we get in the heat of the moment of things, that involve strife or shortcomings or lack, we really that spirituality rapidly dissipates. And we need to lose that mentality. Fear nothing. Fear nothing. At this point, what do we got to fear? If you're not tired of seeing the same old cycles going on and on and on and on again within your community, I don't know what to tell you because it's not going to change. You keep seeing it. But you know what? What is the saying? If you want to see change, well, be that change that you want to see. Right here, the Embassy of the Moors, we have been an ongoing movement for probably almost about 2 years now, trying to reach out to, just everyone that would want to listen in particular the Moorish community all across the world. But we're telling you we need your help. We need your efforts. Because with you, we could do everything. I mean that, literally everything. 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 I mean, civilization, government. I mean, just look around. Look around. We do everything and make every economic industry thrive with the exception of having ownership in it. You can't go into any sports arena and not see a Moor dominating that. At the same time, you can't go into any prison in America and not seeing a Moor dominating that population. So we have to stop playing the middle, stop riding the fence, saying, no, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to do that. And the biggest thing, we can't sit here and say that, we're anti-European, but we loving their products. We can't say we love Gucci, Louis Vuitton. We can't say that we love Prada, all these extravagant things, and then say we don't like them. Because now you have a double mind. Because you're taking on their goods and their bags, but then you got a disposition towards them. No, we here at the Embassy the Moor, we don't hurt, we don't hate, nor do we want to see hurt be brought upon no man, woman, or child. But what we do want, we want equal justice. We want, like every other nation in the world, we want our nationality to be recognized and acknowledged. And more importantly, we want peace and tranquility. Because we deserve that. We earned that. We fought the fight. Every other nation, like I said, we're the biggest consumer, okay, to the world. So every nation is riding on the backs of the Moors. Now it's time for us now to take that position, that leadership role. Furthermore, for the sake of humanity, it's in the best interest for the Moors to come and take back what was once theirs. Because when we did it, when we was the leaders, it was so much better. It was so much better. So let's just take on that mentality, take on that mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers when they ruled the seven seas, when they went and gave Europe its renaissance. When we gave Europe its renaissance, yeah, take on that mindset. Because we knew back then, even if we felt that they wasn't our equals, or even if we felt that they wasn't here to exist or coexist with us, we were smart enough to know that we must coexist. Therefore, we gave them renaissance so that they can now government, run civilizations, run all these different, like I said, structures, erections that we see in present day. All that was of old. And then the Lord from the kingdom even acknowledged that because he shared artifacts, sculptures. He shared that with me and said, all this here, presented here in the kingdom, he said, this is all ancient Moorish science and architecture. He acknowledged that. So the rest of the world knows who we are, people. Let's get to know who we are, Moors. I digress. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Be with you momentarily. Hold on, please.
What you got? What you got?
Thank you, Brother Michael. Thank you for that, Brother Michael. Man, powerful message. And what you're hearing from the beautiful brothers are solutions for today that we have to not only just hear, but listen, digest, and apply. So for all the viewers out there, please like, share, comment, and also feel free to donate. Our Cash App is Moorish America. like, share, and comment. So now, as Brother Michael was just, sharing with us, it's important for us to know history. When we don't know history, then it puts us in a position where now we don't necessarily know where we are headed. When we don't know history, we don't know where we are in the present, and we don't know what's to come. It was a saying that Marcus Garvey shared, which is, a tree without roots is like a people without the knowledge of their history. You see, a tree without roots could easily be swayed. Easily. And that's the same thing with the people without roots. The people that don't know their history, their ancient culture, don't know how to trace themselves back in time before slavery. Then we are just as a tree without roots. We could easily be swayed. When the powers that be want the land that we are occupying, all they do is blow. And now we move. We could easily be persuaded. We could easily sell out on one another because we don't have or know our ancestral roots. Even when we think about, as Brother Michael mentioned, our ancestors, the ancient Moors. You see, the main reason why we're not taught about the Moors and the European Renaissance, which the credit is due to the Moors, but all praise is due to Allah. But now the Moors that they don't tell us about this particular era is because it's also historically written throughout the scripture when we look in Revelations. Because Revelations also tell us that Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. But you see, to teach us about the Renaissance of Europe, about the Moors in Spain, is to also teach us about Satan being bound in Europe for 1,000 years. And as the biblical text tell us in Revelations, and this should be revealing to those that are not in the know, as it tells us, now when 1,000 years have expired, this is Revelations chapter 20, verse 7, and it tells us, now when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison. What prison? Europa, the continent that binds people in. Satan will be released from that prison and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. And this is where we are today, beautiful family. Satan was released from that prison and then moving in haste with the vengeance of having only 1,000 years left to rule. For almost 500 of it, we've been in his bondage as subjects, as prisoners of war. Every attempt we make to progress out, as our predecessors before us done, Satan was all through trying to bring down our organizations to neutralize our leaders and stop us from unifying. This is why history is important, so that way we don't repeat it. And see, this is why it's important for us to be equipped with a superior knowledge. Because if we think we could just go to these educational institutions created by the Europeans, then we are given an inferior knowledge. And no wonder it's difficult for us to progress. Because a slave can never be as great as his master. These are things to consider. So when we even look at the public school system and the General Board of Education and their mission statement, for instance, it tells us, quote verbatim, we shall not teach these people or their children to be men of learning, nor men of science. And this is referring strictly to us, you see. So from the inception of their public school system, which was supported by John D. Rockefeller and passed by, of course, Congress, their mission was to provide us with the inferior knowledge. So when we band together to dismantle that type of status quo and those barriers and attempt to now do for self, we become so prosperous because we forget and leave behind that inferior knowledge. But we become so prosperous now that it's envied by those that try to rewrite our history and write us out. So history is important. So that way we don't repeat the same cycle. This is why we use this platform and title it Black Wall Street 2.5. Can we do it better? Solution. We don't want to do it the same. We want to do it better because now we are in the technological age, the age of information, where we have a lot of information. And one of the primary information that is accessible to us is, as Brother Michael was alluding to, our nationality. We know our nationality today. By default, our ancestors coming out of slavery around the period 1865, by default only knew themselves to be Negroes, niggas. You see, but now, in today's time, the only way information could be hidden from us is if we put our own heads in the dirt and act as if we don't see what's taking place around us. Because now is the time. Our nationality being Moorish American is something that was delivered to us over 100 years ago by our illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, over 100 years ago. But many of us don't know about these things. And it's due to not our own fault, but the ripeness of time. You see, now we live in a time where telecommunications have connected the whole world. So it shouldn't be difficult for us to get the message across. It shouldn't be difficult for us to organize, especially in the times like the COVID, where we have to distance ourselves, but we still have technology where we can still further our agenda. This is how we provide solutions, by being proactive. Our nationality is important to consider because that is our political status. So that way we could be seen as equals in the affairs of men. With that being said, I would like to yield the floor and allow for Brother Dolph, our beautiful Brother Dolph, to please give us some feedback. Please give us some insight on the solutions for today.
Well, the solutions for today, I think, has to more do with directing something that's constructive and with us as a collective. What most of us are when we see public figures that we think are successful, the propaganda that they're successors, they become mainly a collection of individual strivers. I'm not in anybody's pocket or anything like that, but what we have to understand is that we're so fragmented. Our neighborhoods have been disseminated. They've been destroyed. We've had to move way out just to have an opportunity to have some foothold and have some livelihood. And it's left a lot of people, disconnected. We are basically having to live in neighborhoods where we're not communities anymore. We've been for the span of about 50 years, for whatever reason. A lot of us A lot of it having to do with resources being taken away from our inner cities. I grew up in the inner city for a number of years, and so the natural thing to do was to get out of it, move somewhere else where there were resources. Well, there was resources, but there weren't any resources among us because we're not recycling our monies. Our money isn't recycling. It's not staying within our communities that we don't have. So we have to rebuild these communities, minimize the reliance on a system that has not been for us in the first place, that they've usurped our position as, speaking in terms of the ancient Moorish Empire that once had dominion. We've lost it through conquest. We lost it through being usurped, successfully usurped. And is reallocate our energies, reallocate our efforts towards rebuilding ourselves individually and uplifting each other to the point where we could work cohesively. You know, we're not going to all unify. We're not going to all be in unity. Not everybody's going to be on the same page, but we need to try. We need to work for it because our generations are dependent. Our future generations are depending on it. I had something earlier that reminded me of some song lyrics from E40. You shouldn't buy $100,000 car before you. And when you get into that, and you get into the market of buying, they try to tell you that location is about location. But I'm here to tell you it's about land and land. Because the importance of land being very important to Aboriginal people, with a common belief of if we don't own the land owns us. We've always had a spiritual connection to land, but we were disconnected from it because we all fell into the rat race. We all fell into wanting to be better than the next guy. That he with the most toys wins. You know, more emphasis has been on possession than anything else. And we've lost our way with our ancestors, likely most intended for us. I don't think they intended for us to acquire materials, but you know, a lot into those European missions, or if it has said, we need to be unlike that. We need to come up out from that system and be our own people. And it's not simple. It's not going to be easy. We have to look at what's going on around us every day. And collecting, you know, we're losing, but we need to work for betterment, collective betterment. We have to work for the children. We have to work for people that don't understand and have this knowledge of what contributions were made by our ancestors, our ancient ancestors. I'm talking about 3 generations back and more. That were made to the world. And to get back to being most divine. Living a human experience in this existence. So, you know, I don't mean to sound serious about it, but we need to do, each of us needs to do what we need to do. And we need to, you know, collectively build. if we're still stuck in the same circles. You know, we're talking about generational. This is multi-generational that we still have to undo. And it's not going to be done by just material, done by creating wealth sustenance for generations to come. That's what's important. There's so much focus on the land mission. And we have to use the instruments that we are still having to face in order to get ourselves in a position of, I guess we can say, parity or equity, and get to that level before we can have some leverage and what more needs to be done. And with that, I hope that was enough for you, at least from my standpoint. But I'm working actively. I think you should too.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Brother Dolph. And, you know, to highlight, you know, some of the things that Brother Dolph touched on was, first, you mentioned we have successfully been usurped. Successfully. And that is due to our inactiveness. You see, just as a pond becomes dirty and corrupted when it's inactive. So we have to continue to move like spring water. That's pure water. So because of us being inactive, the tenants on our land were able to construct laws around us that we walked into because we didn't construct our own laws to govern our own selves. So just as today, we cannot be caught up and too focused on these material items while others is making laws around us. This is how one become usurped. And as he also mentioned, owning the land. This is what we have to do. We can look at all of the money that we could garnish. We could look at all of the material things that we store in our closets and hoard. But if we do not have land to build on, then we really have nothing. If we do not have land to build on, where we can't get put off this land, where we now could create an apparatus where we could catch rainwater and provide for ourselves. If we don't have land where we could do these things for ourselves, then we are still being complacent with being in a beggar position. So let's acquire land. For those that have the wherewithal, the inspiration or motivation to do so, please reach out to us. So that way we could come together as like-minded individuals and form this collective and approach it with leverage. When we approach things individualistic, we don't have leverage. This is why the only way for us to come together and reach the heights that every nation is now at in present time that we have been set back from is to come together collectively, and then we will create an evolutionary jump. That's how we could participate in being the solution. With that being said, I yield the floor. Do any other brothers have any closing words before we close out today's beautiful topic?
Yeah, I just want to interject one thing. You know, our forefathers did it. We can do it. We are doing it. We want you to join us because it's going to be beautiful. So, for example, if something happened to your son or daughter, you know that they're being judged by our own system, by our own people, and they're judged fairly and righteously. So that's just a small part of it. But just to be able to see what you see in the mirror, shining, glowing, you know, doing the damn thing, as they say. This is where we're going. We're going to have our own banks, our own schools. So we're not taught that Christopher Columbus discovered some place that he stumbled upon and then reclaimed. So they're getting the truth. And again, only the truth will set us free. So this is going to be beautiful. We want you to ride with us. This train is going 1,000 miles an hour with no brakes. We're going to get to our goal. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Salik. All right. So with that being said, we will conclude for tonight. Thank everybody for joining us. Peace and love to all the viewers out there. For those that are tuned in late to catch this live at their convenience, please leave us a comment, like, share, follow up with us. Stay tuned. We will be presenting another Wednesday Live next Wednesday, so that way we can remain on schedule. Today was a special addition to the Black Wall Street 2.5 Solutions. Makeup, exactly. So thank the panel for being here and dropping the jewels for us to pick up. With that being said, peace and love, everybody. Continue to enjoy your night.
Thanks for your time.